Hello and welcome viewers, I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top stories this hour. Israel and Hamas have agreed on the first phase of a peace plan, including a pause in fighting, the release of 20 hostages and nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. This has raised hopes for an end to the two-year conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has thanked US President Donald Trump for his peace efforts and has called this a great day for Israel. Meanwhile, Hamas has praised Trump and other regional mediators for their role in ensuring Israel's withdrawal. World leaders has welcomed the agreement as far as Gaza is concerned, with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer calling it a moment of profound relief. Canada too has expressed its support, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has praised diplomatic efforts. Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister and New Zealand's Foreign Minister have also welcomed the agreement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that his forces are inflicting heavy losses on Russian troops in Donetsk. He's highlighted successes near Dobropilya while stressing that Ukraine remains on the defensive in other areas, including Kupiansk, under intense Russian attacks for months. US President Donald Trump has ordered 500 National Guard troops to be deployed near Chicago despite opposition from Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker. Trump has warned that he will target Antifa and other domestic groups, promising strong federal action against crime. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Mumbai. They will also be holding talks later to strengthen the India-UK Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, focusing on the Vision 2035 roadmap for deepened bilateral cooperation. French President Emmanuel Macron will appoint a new Prime Minister within 2 days. Outgoing Premier Sébastien Lecornu has stated that talks with parties have diminished election speculation. The United Nations is set to cut its peacekeeping force by 25%, forcing thousands of troops to evacuate global hotspots. US funding cuts under President Trump's America First policy has prompted this reduction. All right, viewers, those are the headlines in our top focus. The signing of the agreement of the first stage of US President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza is expected to take place at 12 p.m. Israeli time. Now, the ceasefire is expected to come into effect on the ground in Gaza once the deal is signed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is to convene a meeting of the Security Cabinet later today for the approval of this deal. Now, according to reports, within the first 24 hours of the signing of the agreement, the Israeli military would complete the first phase of partial withdrawal from certain areas of Gaza. The IDF has stated that it has begun operational preparations for the implementation of the Gaza agreement. However, it has stated that the IDF continues to be deployed in the region and is prepared for any other operational developments on the ground. There are reports that hostages may be released as early as next Monday, and reactions, of course, welcoming the peace deal are pouring in from across the world. Italy's foreign minister has welcomed the agreement, stating that Italy is ready to play its part and send troops if needed for peacekeeping. US Democratic Senate leader Chuck Schumer has stated that the work is not over yet and has welcomed any step towards ending the war in Gaza. Amnesty International has also commented that the truce deal was overdue and has called on Israel to immediately end the blockade. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum, a foreign editor at the Weekly Blitz in London. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. A landmark moment is what we're witnessing. Trump has stated that the implementation will begin this weekend itself, and he's most likely to head to the Middle East on Sunday. Does this then pave the way for lasting peace? Sir, you're muted. I request you to unmute yourself kindly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, perfect. I'm so sorry about that. Well, as you can imagine, I have been up all night following events. I've been on Zoom calls, I've been texting, I've been on phone calls, etc., etc. And I've been on your program many times as a guest, and obviously, every morally decent person in the world is absolutely delighted about where we're at the moment, because so many things could have gone wrong. It seems that at 9 a.m. UK time, so in about an hour's time, there will be a signing of the agreement. Netanyahu, from the information I have, despite some very right-wing members of his cabinet, will get the deal approved in cabinet. And therefore, for what Trump has done, bringing the parties together, it's quite a remarkable feat. One thing that stands out above all, actually two things that stands out above all, which your viewers and listeners may not be aware to and has been completely ignored by mainstream media, is the fact that the parent of Hamas, the totalitarian Shia theocracy in Iran, is completely isolated, has had no say nor any influence on this initiative by Donald Trump and the other active players, completely isolated. And the other thing that's very important, and again, something that I'm aware of, and most analysts following events are aware of, but the public is certainly not aware of, is that just 24 hours ago, Hamas tried to enforce their influence in Gaza by attacking a very powerful Palestinian family clan who have been opposed to them, the Al Mujahideen clan. Hamas sent 50 operatives on motorbikes into the family enclave, and they were utterly defeated, and perhaps as many as 25 of their operatives were killed. This in itself, knowing and that the family clan had much support in Gaza, this I think too played a very important role in Hamas's decision-making process, that they were no longer in control of the Gaza and the Palestinians. So those two additional features, completely ignored by mainstream media, are in themselves two very important factors, I think, in influencing the decision by Hamas to finally agree to a phased implementation of the Trump ceasefire plan.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us. I'll, of course, carry forward the point you've been making. But in the meantime, Israelis in Jerusalem have celebrated the announcement of the peace deal in Gaza and the expected return of the hostages. Locals gathered in cafes and public spaces, checking on news on their phones and discussing this landmark moment. Residents have expressed their joy and hope, praising the leaders involved in the deal. This announcement has brought a sense of relief and optimism across Israel, with many hoping that it marks the start of lasting peace and safety for families affected by the 2-year-long conflict. Listen in to what they've had to say.
Very exciting day. Finally, the time is come. And thank God and thank President Trump, and also thank for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, that we hope these coming days, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, we'll see our brothers and sisters coming back to Israel after 2 years in the prison of the Nazis in Gaza. And thank God we are coming for good days. I'm happy. I'm very happy. I'm sure all of Israel is very happy today. And let's hope from this day we are going to better days for the next future.
We're so happy to hear that the hostages are coming back. This is this is the joy that we are waiting for this holiday. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Netanyahu. Thank you.
To see the families of the hostages celebrating and drinking l'chaim and celebrating in the hostage square the minute this came out, I can't even imagine the way they feel. I know I feel elated. They must just feel the burden of the world off of their shoulders. And this is just another great day for Israel and a great day for the world.
Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum. Of course, we could see the elation in Israel, but you were referring to, the internal tussle between different factions in Palestine. What challenges do you foresee in reconciling these factions within the framework of this peace plan down the line?
Yeah, a great question, and I don't see any reconciliation, and let me explain why. Hamas have been funded, supported, created, if you like, by a non-Arab Shia theocracy in Iran. The vast majority of Palestinians are non-Shia, as you know, and it's because of that religious divide and the support that Hamas gave to the Shias that I think will divide Palestinian society. The Palestinians know that Hamas, despite their hatred for Israel, the Palestinians recognise that it has Hamas that has brought the Palestinians and the Gazans to the depths of despair. So I have no belief that the Palestinians will unite. They are a divided society, and may I say, as much as Israel is a divided society. Obviously, for the time being, for the short period, domestically, everyone in Israel is ecstatic that the war is ended and the hostages will get home. But let's see what happens in the weeks to come if this deal comes to fruition, because Netanyahu will be under huge pressure for prolonging the war. Many in Israel believe that the war should have been ended sooner, and his government is very fragile. The right wing could easily bring it down. It reminds me of a similar case to the United Kingdom and Churchill after World War II. Churchill, in many ways, was the reason why the UK defeated the Nazis, but at the next election was defeated. I can see something similar replicating itself in Israel. Netanyahu has undoubtedly defeated the Iranian proxies, not only Hamas and Hezbollah, etc., but domestically, the society is split. And if there were an election today, the polls actually reckon that Netanyahu would not be the next prime minister. So for the moment, joy, ecstasy all round, but both Palestinians and Palestinian society and Israeli society, I fear, will be completely divided going forward.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us. We're tracking further updates from the Middle East. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency has reported several strikes on its territory after the announcement of the agreed peace plan. The Defense Agency has stated that since last night, after the framework was put into force, several explosions have been reported, particularly in the areas of northern Gaza. They've cited a series of intense airstrikes. Earlier, US President Donald Trump had stated that Israel and Hamas have reached a long-sought deal for a ceasefire and hostage prisoner swap under his plan for ending the war. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum. Sir, I wanted to understand from you what lessons can be learned from previous international peace efforts in Gaza when implementing the current plan to ensure a sustained peace in the region?
Yeah, I think what we've seen in the last 2 years is how absurd the United Nations is. One American diplomat referred to the United Nations as the theatre of the absurd. This should be the body that is the main influencer and creator of ensuring nation states get along with each other. It has failed miserably. The Biden administration failed in the United Nations. The Trump administration has ignored the United Nations and set out on its own agenda, and it looks as if that is the way to go forward. But as a body, I think in the last couple of years, the United Nations has shown itself up to be influenced by bloc members and such as the Arab bloc has, or the Muslim bloc has 54 member states, all voting together as one. The European Union has 27 member states all voting together as one. You might as well have just 5 or 6 parties in the United Nations and not the 194 nations there are. So I think, to answer your question, what lessons can be learned, I think the lessons are that the United Nations should be bypassed. All the talk, all the rhetoric, all the speeches by various world leaders are absolutely meaningless, and it takes the initiative of one very, very strong leader, in this case Donald Trump, with the will to bring the parties together and to create something, which he has done. And I think any future conflicts, so long as someone like Trump is in power in the United States, will go that route. It will be up to a few very strong leaders to create the climate and conditions for peaceful resolutions, and not the United Nations, which is just like two football sides on two opposing football teams. It's an absurd organisation, and if anything, that needs to be considered of how it can be reformed.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time sharing your analysis with us on NewsX World as we track this very, very crucial development. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus away from the Middle East towards the war in Europe. We're now learning that a Russian overnight drone attack has injured 5 people and damaged port and energy infrastructure in Ukraine's southern region of Odessa. This is according to the governor of the town. Now, according to the governor, the attack cut power to 30,000 people and set containers with vegetable oil and wood pellets on fire in the port. Meanwhile, Russian attacks in southern Kherson region have killed 3 civilians. Drone strikes in Sumy near the northern border have also claimed the lives of 3 people. This, of course, comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that his forces are dealing heavy losses to Russian troops in eastern Donetsk. Zelensky has highlighted gains in Dobtopilya, a strategic logistics hub that is being targeted by Moscow. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Glenn Grant, former advisor to the Ukrainian Defense Minister. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. One very crucial revelation has been made by President Zelensky. He has stated that gains have been made in Dobtopilya. It is, as I mentioned earlier, a strategic logistics hub that Moscow has been targeting repeatedly. How can now Ukraine's strategic gains over here impact Russia's supply lines?
Well, that was, let's be blunt about it. It's not a strategic gain. It's a tactical gain. It's not going to make any major change to the front line, because it's just one small area in a front that's, you know, several thousand kilometers long. But what it does show, and what is important, is that the Ukrainian forces, who have been being pushed back solidly for the last couple of years, are still active and are still positive about trying to regain their land. That they're not just sitting there and doing nothing. So it should act as a warning to Russia that they're not going to have everything that they want their way. They've gained very little so far, in terms of ground, and this shows that every inch is going to remain extremely difficult for them to gain.
Indeed, and we've also, as I reported earlier, seen attacks targeting port and energy infrastructure in Odessa. What could be the long-term impact of such attacks where civilians and, things that are important to civilians such as vegetable oil, wood pellets, all of which are most likely to be used quite frequently during the harsh winters? How could this impact the civilian population?
I think you'll find actually that those things are probably going out, not coming in, because Odessa is actually, it's the main serious port for Ukraine onto the Black Sea, and it still remains a vital hub for Ukrainian exports. Without it, they would have extreme difficulty. I mean, it's 25% of their exports are going through Odessa at times. So it's really important. But it shows that Russia is still intent on seeing Odessa as a major point that they wish to capture. But I don't think they're going to. There's no evidence that they have forces that could actually push that far. But I would add, Odessa's not just suffering from this; it's also it's been hit regularly in the last couple of months, every couple of days, and a lot of those hits have been on civilian infrastructure. But they've also had severe floods. I mean, really, really deep water, which is ruining houses, sweeping cars away, and they're under a flood warning again at the moment. So that the whole city is not exactly having the best of times today.
And we've also recently seen Moscow state that the momentum for a peace deal after the Trump-Putin summit in Alaska has been exhausted. In this context, could we then expect the Americans to fast-track the delivery of the Tomahawks despite Putin's threats?
Well, I mean, the first thing is, of course, the Alaska deal was nothing. There was no deal. There was never any peace on the table there. So there's no change from the last 2 years at all. Putin tries to stop anything that actually makes that makes Russia weaker. So he's going to work hard with threats about the Tomahawks. But there seems to be an inexorable turning of the wheel towards giving them, and so we wait and see what Trump actually does. But you have to remember all the time in the background that Trump has been supporting Putin, but he still has the problem of his own Republican Party. Many, even almost most, still support Ukraine. So he has to balance these two things out. So he may offer something, but he will then delay giving it. As we've had delays on this for the last few weeks. So we have to wait and see.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sharing your analysis with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus to South Asia, particularly India. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his first official visit to India. The two leaders are scheduled to hold bilateral talks aimed at strengthening the India-UK comprehensive strategic partnership. Starmer is being accompanied by the largest ever UK trade delegation to India. British Trade Minister Peter Kyle and Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal have also met in Mumbai to discuss trade. Britain and India signed a free trade agreement in July during a visit by Prime Minister Modi to the United Kingdom, sealing a deal to cut tariffs on goods from textiles to whiskey and cars and to allow more market access for businesses too. With us on the broadcast is Ms. Shruti Dasgupta, International Affairs expert, joining us from New Delhi. A crucial visit by Keir Starmer to India. As I mentioned earlier, we've seen the landmark India-UK FTA being inked in July. Now, the largest ever trade delegation from the UK is in Mumbai. In focus is Vision 2035 and how to advance bilateral cooperation. In your assessment, can we expect any major announcements with regards to this?
Well, you're absolutely right. It has the biggest trade agreement that Britain has actually managed to wrangle out of the rabbit's hat after its Brexit. So for them, it is an important deal, and for India also, which is facing Trump's tariff tantrums. So for both sides, it is an important situation. So what we do hope, although visa has been taken off the table, Keir Starmer has already stated he will not speak about the visas as well as jobs as of now. But we do hope that the major tech transfers, deals, etc. come in focus, and India and its traders that are struggling against the tariffs which have been imposed in the last month are able to come out of the economic hellhole that Trump is trying to put India into.
Indeed, it is quite significant, this particular visit, because India and Britain are the world's fourth and sixth largest economies respectively. In fact, the bilateral trade between the two nations is valued at 54.8 billion, with investment supporting nearly 600,000 jobs across both countries. Now, India has said, and the Foreign Ministry in particular put out a statement earlier stating that Starmer's visit will provide a valuable opportunity to reaffirm the shared vision of India and the UK to build a forward-looking partnership. Ms. Dasgupta, I wanted to understand from you, what could this forward-looking partnership entail in considering the next decade and where we're heading towards?
So we're basically hoping for tech transfers in terms of battery and green energy. That means we want to build better nuclear energy options for ourselves. We are hoping to get access to battery making technology. Microchips are also a bigger concern, though we did manufacture one completely indigenously, but that is a few generations old. So we want to be up in the technical side of aspects. That is a major concern of ours. There are export businesses which only contribute to about 45% of the total trade between India and UK. So those sectors have been suffering. So we are hoping to see a flourish in those sectors. Professional mobility is something that we hope to get, where UK service sector gets access to Indian professional qualifications, and mutual recognition of professional qualification is something that would interest a lot of Indian students. So things like that are going to impact. The major markets will be the manufacturing of cars, as well as tech transfers between bigger companies, which will face lesser tariffs now in India, as in your Land Rovers and your Jaguars and Aston Martins. Whiskey is something that is going to see a reduction in price, not just ones that are made in the UK, but also the ones that are made in India, because blended malts will have access to cheaper Scottish whiskey, and they would improve in quality as well as price. So things are going to look up for the Indian market, but there are a lot of pros and cons that need to be measured. 99% of the marine now going to be tariff-free. Another sector impacted by the tariffs and 95% of the cultural sector is not going to be tariffed by UK, which is another sector which is being helped. The pharmaceutical side of it is going to see a plus point, as in the generic medicines will continue to hold their steady, firm response to the patent-related questions that were there, as in the patent as well as the testing data that was confidential and would not be held, would not allow other companies to mass produce these medicines. India does not recognize that patent after 3 years, and that allows for the generic medicine option, which is something that India is the largest supplier of globally. So as a result, this particular stance UK has bent its knee on and said, fine, we will not touch the pharma market and allow generic medicines to flow into our markets as well. So the MSME sectors are going to face a little bit of a sweet and sour moment, because as long as 20% only is UK sourced, then the companies are allowed to become the second level supplier, and they can bid for the $38 billion industry of infrastructure and tenders that tends to happen in India annually. So they have a lot to gain, and we are hoping to offset some of our losses from USA by doing this FTA.
All right, ma'am. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time and sharing your insights with us on NewsX World. Due to paucity of time, viewers, it's a wrap on this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.